Hey, we're back again for an explosive tip, and yeah, I may have this torn mobility band, but it's not because I tore it. It's because it's pre-torn and because we're actually going to use it for an analogy today. So one of the number one things that I get whenever it comes to explosive training or questions surrounding just being able to jump higher, whether that's dunking, whether that's trying to out-rebound someone or out-head a ball in soccer, whatever. The idea is, what is it that I need to be focusing on the most when it comes to jump training in general? Now, typically, there are a lot of gimmicks out there that will have you put a little boot on your shoe. I used to have one myself, put a little boot on your shoe that makes you walk around on your toes. And ideally, we're focusing on the calves whenever we're put in this position. Because the idea is, if I'm more powerful here, I should be able to jump higher. Now, what my argument is it's not really the calves that we want to focus on. Yes, calves, leg, great. But really what it comes down to is our power is going to be core out to extremity, or our pelvic unit, our powerhouse, out to our appendages, or out to our legs. So I'm going to use this mobility band as our example for today. So what I have is a mock whip, if you will, and we're going to take the concept of focusing on the lower leg or the legs in general to create power for this whip. Now, as we know, this is the concept of how we would actually throw a whip out, and that's where our power is going out to. It's going out from the grip itself out to the end. Now, when we focus on the lower extremities, what's happening here is we may still have some coming from our grip, right? Because that's just natural. But when we focus on making that bottom portion more explosive, we might end up getting a better whip here, but as you can see, that chain is broken there. We want to be a consistent and even more powerful chain as we go through the base. So then if I go up higher and I start working on the leg, I'm getting more involvement here from the whip itself, but again, I still have an area that's lacking or not coordinated with the rest of the body. So if we max out this bottom 10%, that's great, but let's go back to where the majority of the power comes from, which is going to be the grip itself. So if you picture, again, all the way down to my toes, all the way up to my hips, this is the grip of the whip, that's the crack of the whip. We want to focus on creating and generating the most power here, because if I create more power here, it's going to create more power throughout the rest of the whip itself. In other words, if I'm going to go and jump, I don't want to focus just on that lower portion. I want to focus on utilizing my hips to help generate that power, because at the end of the day, when we're going to jump, the last thing that's going to be on the floor is that calf down to the toe. If that's the only thing we're focusing on, we're missing a big portion that's going to help to make us jump higher. So that's my whip analogy. So when you think about jumping, think of your body as a whip and think about producing power from the hips. All right, guys, that's it for today. Peace.